hello there. Good evening in my case. Well, whatever the time happens to be where you are, my very warm regards. This is Amma Manson, and as you can see, I am clearly under my duvet. I am chilling in my house. I haven't gone anywhere today because I am following guidance. We have been advised to self-isolate and distance ourselves socially. Most people are still behaving as if this is a holiday period. It is not a holiday. It really isn't a holiday. And the earlier more people come to this realization, the more likely it is that everybody will come out of it quicker. So stay home, stay away from trouble. Don't go anywhere which is not essential. It is really not essential, don't do it. Don't do it. Because you might end up coming in contact with a contagion, and if you do come in contact with a contagion, you have nobody but yourself to blame for it. People are trying to fix a problem. People are trying to figure out what to do. I suggest that we give them the time and space to do so, and we follow the simple guidance they've given us. Having said that, when you are home, when you're not really running around doing other things, you tend to find spare time on your hands, and a lot of you have found spare time on your hands, and you're making loads of videos, you're making loads of audio, some of which are helpful, others not so much. So today I want to pick up an audio which has been shared with me. The audio itself is in vernacular. I will try and translate a little bit, and then I will action. That is actually just my stimulus. I've only received the audio. I don't know who the author is. I don't know who the person is. But there are certain fundamentals that grate on my nerves. On some of the sentiments expressed, it's not necessarily the person who is grating on my nerves more, but it's the people who are sharing it and propagating it. Let's go.
I was the average Ghanaian millionaire, and I said the average Ghanaian politician. I would brag say, we were dying our America. We were dying our Europe, we were dying our Asia. No money sa ni mano. Or three mona sabata frache, sabi print yasa. Sabi the kwasia why ye.
So this guy is saying that by the end of the COVID-19 episode, every millionaire. At that point, I'm like, do you know how they made their millions? No. And then he adds every politician. And in fact, even politicians, some politicians are accomplished before they come to politics. Thank you very much. But he says everybody in that category, by the end of the COVID-19, needs to realize, Sebi, how stupid they have been. I mean, that's loose talk. That is loose talk. To suggest, anyway, let's listen a little bit more and I'll tell you what I think.
Every country is fighting for its own citizens. As I speak with you now, at the play Musa or by US, you better welcome it. You cannot go to Europe, I better welcome all that. What do we go baby? I bet you.
So here he's discussing the travel bans. You can't go anywhere from Ghana at the moment, not to Europe or North America. You would not be received. And it's true, most countries are in lockdown. Right, and this is where most people get it twisted. This is where most people get it really twisted. He says that people who would not be able to travel, those who've not built hospitals, those who've not developed their economy, who's not stimulated. I think a lot of people misunderstand economic stimulation. If somebody owns a business, they are definitely massaging the economy. Thank you very much. If somebody is doing philanthropy in a place, if somebody is employing people in a place, they are definitely stimulating the economy. I think sometimes individuals place responsibility, community responsibility on certain individuals and absolve ourselves of what we should do for ourselves. And that's the purpose of my video. I'm only using his audio as a stimulus. Listen, you are responsible for yourself. Nobody else is. Not even the people you've elected to government can guarantee everything for you. They can try very hard to do some things for you. You can demand a lot of things, but there are some basics that you are going to have to learn to do for yourself. In the same country where we claim there isn't good healthcare, people who've placed themselves to be able to afford better healthcare are able to do so. People who have placed themselves to be able to exit and go elsewhere and find better provisions, they are able to do so. So in fact, if you don't place yourself in that category, if you don't strive to get to that area where you are able to access, if you become the average person, the person who becomes dependent on the system, the person who doesn't really account for themselves but want a government to do things for them, those are the victims of these situations. And in most cases, you can't blame anybody else for it. You can't. Not all of us start from positions of privilege, but there are some people who work so hard. There are some people who make it their life's obsession. They chase it until it happens, and it happens for them. We've seen many people. The average person doesn't get that focus. The average person just becomes self-entitled. The average person just thinks other people should do it for them. So according to this guy, every millionaire should empty their pockets to actually do things for social and community good if people choose to do so. And it's a choice. It is a gift to the recipients. It is not an entitlement. Entrepreneurs should not have to share anything with you because you did not contribute towards their capital. Thank you very much. Rich people in your area owe you nothing because you've done nothing to support them. Thank you. And it's about time the average person comes to learn this simple thing. So take me, Amma, for example. I have nothing, but I am striving. I am working. I am soldiering. And if I am blessed enough to get to a point where I manage to make a buck or two in my pockets, I don't owe you a thing. Do you know what I am currently doing? What have you done to support me that I should owe you something back? My local community cannot even demand anything of me because, again, in fact, in my local community, I have not experienced any philanthropy. Thank you very much. None of you have contributed a dime to set me up. So if I'm lucky, and if I strive it, and if I hustle it out, and things work out for me, don't you dare come towards me with that entitlement because it irritates me. So everybody who's made money is suddenly a fool for wanting to invest elsewhere. If you really understand the principles of money, investing outside your own economy is actually one which is advised, depending on the kind of portfolio you manage. The fact that they can't go to the United States right now doesn't mean anything. When this is recovered and stocks are recovered and the person is able to get returns on their investment, they would get returns on their investment. So why do you call them stupid? Because they've invested elsewhere. It is better for you. It is much better for the average person if the investment is done at home. But it isn't these people's job only to make sure the economy is massaged. Every single person who is a citizen, especially those who are residents, should be doing everything they can to massage the local economy so it benefits everybody. It should not be one or two people's jobs, not at all. Not even the politicians can do on their own when you elect them. That is something I need everybody to fundamentally understand because it irritates me when I get these audios and videos. It really does. And it irritates me. He still carries on with political leaders and millionaires in Ghana. Excuse me, my brother, what do you know about how they made their millions? Have you invested in any of those? What makes you think that they owe you? The political leaders, I would say you hold them accountable because you've elected them to office. But the millionaires in Ghana, do you know them? Have you invested in them before? How much of their capital do you know anything about? And even if you worked for them, I'm sure it was a paid service. So even their staff would not say that they owe them much. You come to do a job, you paid a job, that's the end of the transaction, no entitlement. Thank you very much. He's still talking about people learning common sense during this episode. And I think the choice of language was actually rather unfortunate. Rather unfortunate.
We spend all of our monies on unnecessary things. Stupid buying. Unnecessary buying.
My brother, again, what makes you think that it is your right to direct how people earn, people spend their self-generated funds? Other people are starving in this world, I know, but people are sleeping whilst I'm not sleeping, thank you very much. People are relaxed whilst I am hustling, thank you very much. People are chilled because they are comfortable where they are, thank you very much. So if I am blessed to be in a position and I decide to enjoy the fruits of my own labor, how dare anybody suggest how I should do it? How dare anybody tell me that I can't have the creature comforts that I have denied myself over time? It's delayed gratification, especially for a lot of these self-made guys. They would have denied themselves some of the things you enjoyed. They would have held back for years in order to invest, so that when it finally pays out, he can't buy a car because you are poor. Really? He can't enjoy better health care because he can afford it. Really? He can't live a particular lifestyle because you did not choose to go down that route with them. Really? Do you hear the ridiculousness of that argument when somebody unpicks it for you? The millionaires don't owe you anything. You've not contributed a dime to them. So leave them alone. If somebody chooses out of their own volition, as part of social corporate responsibility or as personal philanthropy, to give things back to the community, it's a gift. You don't live by the gift. You don't plan by the gift, and you don't demand the gift. It is ridiculous that a person builds yourself to expect other people to always come to your aid, to think other people can't enjoy what they've worked for because you don't have it. If you want to enjoy it, you work for it. If you want to enjoy it, you better up and work for it. And it's a general thing, it's a funny thing with a lot of Africans in particular. Most Africans assume that Western people are the ones looking for cures. Do you know some of these research institutes actually house African scientists? Thank you very much. If I don't know much at all, I do know that we do have respectable centers like Noguchi in Ghana, in the University of Ghana, the Noguchi Memorial Institute for research. Those guys would not be sleeping either. Thank you very much. What people actually always associate is big pharma research. Well, where do you expect big pharma to be? Big pharma is a Western phenomenon. They are in Western countries. Big pharma research and big pharma coming up with findings is actually a commercial activity. Thank you very much if you don't understand. No, it's not for philanthropy. It is definitely not for world good. Those guys are researchers because that's their job. Those guys are at the forefront because those guys are the ones who are they are palled up with the WHO. They are allied to them already. Those are the guys likely to be coming up with the contracts anyway. And so those are the guys you would hear of all the time. It does not mean that other scientists are asleep. It is an unfortunate thing that the black man always assumes only the white man is working and his fellow black man is always sleeping. It's a pity. It's because a lot of you actually are, and a lot of you don't do much. And because you don't do much, because you don't challenge the rhetoric, because you live by the status quo, you assume everybody else does, and you propagate these in audios and videos of this kind. It's unfortunate, and we really have to start. We really have to stop it. We really do. We have to get facts separated from the emotions. We also need to make sure the audios and videos we are sharing are logical. Sometimes you have to take the emotion to one side. We all do have them. But it's unhelpful when emotions override logic. And at the moment, there are many, many pieces where emotions are overriding logic, and it has to stop. It really does have to stop.
People give birth on the floor. Or go hospital and go the form and go for the form. And now and you will say yes. Say here to build your own economy. Which means you are not a citizen of the United States. You are not a citizen of Canada. You are not a citizen of any countries in Europe. But you brag. So one and we're dying 3 in Europe. We're dying 4 in Europe. And I've done this in the US. And then come back here and enjoy what you have done here. Come. Never say you may welcome down. We don't think. And
And he says what people do has no common sense. Bro, seriously. What is common sense to you is limited by your experience, I promise you. If you are somebody who understands portfolio management, if you are somebody who dibbles and dabbles in investment, if you are somebody who has an account manager, somebody who manages your funds, and most of us don't fit that category, until you move into that circle of things or you encounter people, until I left Europe and came to live where I currently am, I had absolutely no idea about some of these things. When I came here, and I've had the privilege of dealing with people who manage serious portfolios, I have come to understand the basics of diversity. So some of these guys, they live in this country and most of the people elsewhere invest here, but they don't put everything here. Some of these guys have portfolios in places like the Cayman Islands. People have investment houses all over Europe. People have investments in North America, because markets can be volatile. Some markets can be susceptible to things, and if all your eggs are in one basket and that area is hit, you are done. And that's why wise, sensible people invest in a variety of locations. Do you understand it? So how dare you sit and insult somebody just because they invest their own resources where they choose to? It's not massaging the economy for you. Well, tough. It is not their job single-handedly to massage your economy. They are supposed to do their bit as a civil citizen, and you are supposed to do your bit. But we are all expecting a very, very select few to do it all for the collective, and it is not working. Please allow rich people to have peace of mind in this episode. A lot of them have worked hard to get there. Please allow successful people to have the peace of mind to enjoy the fruits of their labor. It is this attitude which makes less of us aspire to be rich. Amongst black people, it almost feels like a sin to be rich. It is a sin to be successful. Everybody only looks at the final product, and nobody looks at the sacrifices that you have to make to get there. These guys often make huge sacrifices to get to that position. And it is so wrong to suggest they don't enjoy the fruits of their labor because you made alternative choices. You are poor because of your choices. When somebody first said that to me, oh, it irritated me. But when I had time to actually consider and to ponder it, to look over my choices, I understood. I am poor. And I have been poor because of my choices. I am getting better and moving from that area again because of my choices. And if I am one of those who's successful at some point, somehow, I would get there also because of my choices. If I make alternative choices, I can expect, if I make choices, I expect to see consequences for sure. And when I've made my bed, I should lie in it with my mouth zipped because it's my choice. So yes, my name is Amma and I'm poor, but I am a poor person who understands that it's because of my choices. It's because of my lack of action in some places. It is because that I have not dared enough. I have not been hungry enough. I have not resolved enough. And I have not had tunnel vision in some cases. I have made silly choices sometimes. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm poor. Many of my friends who were in similar circumstances to me, made different choices, are in different places completely. Do I envy them? Sometimes I wish that I was where they were, but I also need to notice that I did not go the path they chose to go. If I want to get where they are, now I know which path to go. It's up to me if I am determined enough to get there. Leave those friends of mine alone and allow them to enjoy their wealth, because I know my friends have worked for it. Thank you. Do they owe you or do they owe me because we've chosen something else? No, they don't. So we need to really tell this story to ourselves. We really need to challenge each other about it. When somebody shares these videos with you, take them on and ask them to unpick some of these things. See the logic or the lack of it, so we can all admonish each other and get better. It will only get better if our attitude shifts, if this entitlement goes.
And every country is fighting for its own citizens. What? If you should build proper hospitals, build proper hospitals. And that they will buy a baby out in the public to Mr. Ghana. Everyone was on your coupon, your boy, a home by a question. So, Sunday, wait to see from what some you will say more. You will say more. Filth everywhere. Filth everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. Filth everywhere because filthy people everywhere. Filth everywhere because many irresponsible citizens everywhere. Filth everywhere because, again, the average citizen does not know their civic responsibility towards sanitation. You see what I mean again? The fact that it's filthy in town is not the rich man's fault. In fact, most of these rich people, they have garbage collectors. They are more likely to be able to pay recycling companies to collect their bins. They are less likely to throw things in the environment. So why do we blame these guys if it's filthy in town? It's your fault, and it's my fault. It's the poor people's fault. It is where we choose to live because we want places with cheap rent, which exposes us to some illnesses. I know some people can't afford it. It is what it is. But many rich people have also found themselves in those low points, and that has galvanized them to make different choices and to change their outcomes. And that is what I want to inspire us, everybody else, to do. You look inside and see your part in all this. Resolve to change it from your perspective. I will resolve to change it from my perspective. And it is those little drops of change which will make the mighty ocean that we all want to see. I want you to listen to my video carefully. I want you to put those feelings and judgments to one side. Yeah, initially when you hear what I'm saying, it's difficult, it's annoying, because I'm asking you to hold yourself responsible. I'm asking you to stop the blame game. I'm asking you to take responsibility for yourself for a change. And don't expect other people to provide for you. You are an adult. You are on your own. Each one for himself and God for us all. May we all realize this simple thing. May we all understand these basic principles. May we stop some of these videos, some of these emotive videos, the ones that are devoid of logic. And may we start making content which holds ourselves and each other accountable for our choices. That is the only way it will change. That's the only way it's going to get better. It is Amma Manson, from the comfort of my duvet, trying very hard to be obedient, trying very hard to social distance and watch content. And anytime I see something which is pertinent and requires my response, I will. I do hope, like my brother Nana from last week, when I pick people's videos and audios, you understand it's not personal, but it's the sentiments, it's the thoughts that I always want to challenge. And it's actually intended for your consumers to also listen to the alternative rhetoric and for them to come to an alternative conclusion if possible. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for sharing. And please subscribe to my channels if you've ended up on my page. See ya.